We can't do that in our court system. The Fifth Amendment also protects against self-incrimination. I'm sure you've heard people say, I plead the Fifth. That's what this is. People have the right to remain silent. They do not need to talk to law enforcement at all. And we'll get into what Miranda v. Arizona is. It's a very popular court case. I'm sure you've heard of Miranda rights. So the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that when a person has the right not to speak, they also have the right to have a presence of counsel or an attorney while they're in custody, while they're being interrogated. So the Miranda rights, which will be covered by your FTO, what specifically those are, of course, the right to remain silent, anything you do or say, that little spiel there, they must be read to an individual when they are in custody, therefore not free to leave, or they feel they are not free to leave. This is especially important, so I definitely want to make sure you're paying attention. So Miranda rights are the rights you read to an individual when they are in custody and they're being asked guilt-seeking questions. Ooh, let's take a look at this. Yes, so these are the specific Miranda rights. So these are what an officer must read to an individual when they're in custody and they're being asked guilt-seeking questions. So if you respond to, let's say, an armed robbery, and you see that person, and you roll up on him, and he's robbing, you hear him say, "Give me your fucking money," and you jump out of the car, and you aim your gun, you say, "Put his feet on the ground," he complies, he's in cuffs. Well, you have seen that crime. You know that he committed it because you as an officer witnessed the crime. You can ask him as many details as you want about that. You can slap cuffs on him, say, "Oh, what kind of gun did you use? Oh, why'd you do it?" However, everything you're asking him cannot be admitted and cannot be something used against him. So, if he's in cuffs and you ask him about the armed robbery and he tells you, "Yeah, I robbed 6 people as well. I robbed that guy over there, this guy over there," that's not admissible. You cannot use anything he said because he's not been advised of his rights. So a lot of officers might think, "Oh, I saw the crime. I can talk about whatever I want," because it's not guilt-seeking. That's what the officer is thinking. They're saying, "Oh, I just plan to arrest him for 1 count of armed robbery that I saw, nothing else." So typically, if you're going to talk to someone who's in custody about anything, you're just asking them questions, it is always good to read them their rights rather than to not. Right? It's better to do more than to do less. If you're just reading people's rights,
know your rights, damn it.
You might look a little bit silly, and you'll probably learn when it's necessary and when it's not, but it's going to protect your ass 100% of the time. So would you rather look silly or lose a case, have information that's not admissible, and look and really hurt the department if we would lose a case like that? So again, in custody and guilt-seeking questions. Recruit Bain, can you tell me what in custody means to you?
To me, in custody would probably mean in cuffs, I guess, and in my care.
Absolutely, definitely. So it doesn't have to be only in cuffs. So if I pull someone over and my blue lights are on them, I have detained them. I am preventing them from leaving, and as an investigative stop. If I'm asking guilt-seeking questions, then it's very difficult for those to be directly applied for an admission. I'm not saying that you should approach a traffic stop and read them their rights. I'm just explaining what in custody means. So if, let's say, you see marijuana in the car, I'll get to that in a minute, that gives you the right to pull them out of the car, put them in cuffs. Boom, you're in cuffs. Now maybe you're asking things, are there anything else in the car? So you already have a right to search it, and you're just asking leading questions to just get a little bit more information. And you're not using that for guilt. You're not trying to build a new charge. That's okay. That's why officers aren't reading you Miranda rights on a traffic stop. Also, if there are 5 officers surrounding this one guy and the guy feels uncomfortable and not free to leave, that's also in custody, even if he's not in cuffs. If the person feels they're not free to leave, it's considered in custody. Recruit Vines, what do you think that guilt-seeking questions are?
Guilty what?
Guilt-seeking questions. A question which seeks guilt. Well, what do you think that means to you?
I'm not sure.
That's fine. So we're all learning here. So any guilt-seeking question is, like I said, when you're trying to pin a charge, you're trying to figure out an offense they've committed. So if you're asking, like, oh, where were you last night? And you're really trying to build, let's say there was a murder that happened last night, and you're trying to build information off of that. That's the guilt-seeking question. There are also something called, a spontaneous utterance. So what that is basically is if you're, let's say you're in the back of your car, you're not talking to them, you're driving down the station, and all of a sudden they go, man, I killed 4 people earlier today, and I'm getting charged with armed robbery. Are you kidding me? You didn't provoke them to answer that question or to answer anything or to say anything. They've decided to give that information to you spontaneously, and that's admissible. So you really have to think of when we're interrogating someone or we're interviewing someone for a case, for an investigation. When we're trying to figure a charge out, that's a guilt-seeking question. There also is
How are you doing, Zachary?
In the
What's new with you?
I'm sorry, you also have due process. We don't really have that much of a due process, to be honest. It's kind of the cop is a judge, jury, and executioner. So we really have to be careful with how we act as law enforcement officers in the city. But I'm sure in the future we're definitely going to have a system that supports that.
May I interject one moment, Captain?
Go for it.
So, cadets, or actually recruits, as I want to address, being the fact that you are, like, as the captain said, the judge, jury, and executioner, be compassionate with the situations you run into, because you can ruin these individuals' lives, or you can make them have a great day. So be objective on your scenes and situations.
Absolutely. So what he's saying is the crimes that we see on what I gave you a little while ago, those are the max charges. That's the max you can do. That's not what it's telling you to do. So if, let's say, you're interacting with an individual who's cooperative, they're understanding, they're polite, or maybe they're giving awesome role play, and maybe they're a new player to our city, things like that you really need to consider, because if you slap them with that, boom, 40, 50 minutes for armed robbery and that $5,000 charge for whatever else, that's a big impact on them. That's really going to hurt, their want to play. And especially if you're rude to them anyways, all those things are going to add up, and we might lose a player over that. So not only do you have to portray your character professionally, you need to think of the power that you have on players, not just the characters. Go for it.
One more addition to piggyback off the captain's statement. So roleplay is not only someone who is submissive to you. Roleplay is also someone who is restraining against you. If they're going to cuss you out, if they're going to be in any way, shape, or form against you, that's still roleplay. So don't take it personally. If you take it personally, you're going to max the hell out of that person. If you take it objectively, you're going to realize that they're giving you good criminal RP, and you should subject them as such.
We definitely want people who are good criminal role players to stay on the server, to keep with us. Go ahead, Vines.
Of course.
Right. We definitely want them to stick around with us. So if they're really portraying a character and you know that that's what they're doing, especially typically people who are really in character might use an accent on their character that is obviously, not actually them. And that's really helpful for us to understand that's what they're doing. And then that's how I, at least, don't become emotionally involved, is I really think about what the person is saying in relation to their character. So if someone is being resistant with you and you attack them to the ground, you use a taser, punch them, or maybe they're doing a slash me to try to wiggle out of those cuffs or something, right? That's an interaction they're trying to build with you to have fun. But, if they're running around while in cuffs and sprinting up and down the cell block and trying to open doors and things like that, that's not really role play. They're kind of being an absolute dick. And in those cases, it might be okay to give them the max charge. But you really should pinpoint on what they're doing, what they're trying to achieve as a character and a player, and not hit them with a max fine. So there are several more amendments beyond that, and the 6th, 7th, 8th basically go around prosecutions and juries and trials. So we'll just go right through those. Is it kind of important for you to know that? Because it's the Bill of Rights. If someone walks up to you and asks a law enforcement officer, what's the 7th Amendment? And it has two things. It's kind of applicable and it's kind of not. To know the rights is a bit important, so I would review that if you have a chance. So we're going to go down there, and we're going to meet some court cases here, which I highlighted. So just above where it says standards of proof. Does everyone see that?
Where did you say?
Just scroll down until you see standards of proof. I've highlighted the text we're going to talk about for a minute.
Also, if you're in one of the various modes, you'll actually see what he highlighted in red. Or it's kind of like a pink red.
Yeah, I actually think. Are you there as well, Bane?
Yes.
Perfect. So these are court cases that have, again, common law, which we were talking about a moment ago, where a judge has ruled on something and that has become law. So the first one is what we were talking about, Miranda v. Arizona. So in that court case, some officers arrested someone, they talked to him, and they wanted to use everything he said against. Oh my goodness. I'm all right. They wanted to use everything he said against him, which a judge found to not be okay. You cannot just freely go and, interrogate people for hours on end and then charge them with a crime. That was not okay for them to do. So that developed the Miranda rights, which Sergeant Mallard linked a moment ago, is the right to remain silent, to have a lawyer present, all that good stuff. So that's what that court case gave us. The NAP says Matt v. Ohio. So that court case, I'm not actually 100% sure on the details of that case. However, I believe what it was is that someone had some reason, or they believe they have some reason to search an area. They said, "Oh, I'm gonna search this person or this house or this car." I don't remember what it was. They had some reason to search something, and then the court ruled that for whatever reason that they were not permitted to search that. So everything that they got from that search is now fruit of the poisonous tree, no longer permitted, no longer usable. So if you search something like a car or a person, and it turns out that you did not have illegal authority to be there, anything you collect from that, whether it's guns or drugs or human trafficking, it's not admissible in court. So you always want to make sure that you have an illegal authority to be somewhere before you start searching. The next is Terry v. Ohio, which I thought that I had a big old paragraph on somewhere. I sure do. It's down below, so we'll skip over that for right now. And then Delaware v. Proust. Basically, you need a reason to stop a car. It doesn't have to be a traffic offense that they've committed. It needs to be any reasonable suspicion, and we'll get into what that means right now. Go ahead.
Yeah, so on that thing that you said earlier that you can't use it in court, so let's take an extreme situation, right? Let's say you pull someone over, and there is someone kidnapped in the car, right? And basically, for pulling that person over, you didn't really seem to have a legal reason afterwards. Does that mean that getting that person in the car we just don't care about, or what's happening over there?
It's very difficult when we get into something like that, of course. So when you've pulled someone over, you need to make sure you have a reasonable suspicion of a crime, which we'll dive into here in just a second. That means that you believe a crime has committed, and it's more than a hunch. It's a few details that you really, really believe a crime has been committed. Like, for example, this doesn't directly apply to our game, but it's the best example I have for real life, for a reasonable suspicion. So if I see a tag, like a plate, and it has an expiration date, and it's past the expiration date, I believe that vehicle is committing the offense of operating an expired vehicle, right? So I pull them over. I go up to the driver, I introduce myself, and I get a copy of his registration, and his registration proves and shows that the vehicle is up to date. He just hasn't changed the plate. So now he has not broken the law, but when I pulled him over, I believed that he did. So that gave me the right to stop him, that reasonable suspicion to stop him, pull him over, and investigate that crime that I believe he committed. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Go ahead, Mallard.
This is going to be attaching to the captain's statement for articulation within our fair city. Would you suggest, either one of you recruits, that a vehicle that has the license plate light out to be something you can pull over?
I think it would be, right?
That is correct. What law, if you actually go back to the traffic fines, what law would that be found under?
Give me 1 second. would that be failure to have correct registration displayed?
If you can articulate it that way, that would be correct, though I would be looking more towards unroadworthy vehicle. The reason why I dictate the unroadworthy vehicle is because a license plate light at night illuminates the license plate so that the LEO could properly identify that the vehicle is as it should be, kind of like Captain Dunstan was saying about the whole proper registration. If it's not properly marked or properly within view, you can articulate it that it could be improper registration displayed. You can say it's an unruly road vehicle, and so on and so forth. So the biggest thing about being a good LEO is understanding your laws and using them as tools for the apprehension of any criminal.
Absolutely correct. And do you have any questions or concerns to that, Bane or Vines?
Nope.
Okay. So I just realized the time, so we're going to move along a little bit quick now. So understanding probable cause and reasonable suspicion. So these are two different standards of proof. So you need to know that probable cause is what is required to perform a search or to effect an arrest. You must have probable cause to search someone or to arrest someone. Arrest means you're putting them in cuffs and you're taking them to jail. Search means you're going through their pockets, you're going through their car, you're going through their house, etc. Probable cause is factual evidence. Typically, it's tangible, or it's of a such high degree it can be a statement. So a law enforcement officer's witnessing and therefore statement is probable cause, right? So that's probable cause to do something. So again, that is circumstance of evidence. So it needs to be facts that you know have happened and you can prove because of a medic statement, someone's reputable and will show up in court if required, body camera, DNA evidence, forensic evidence, things like that. That is factual. Reasonable suspicion is information typically higher than a hunch. It's a minimum level of objective justification. It needs to be so that you believe and a reasonable officer with the same experience as you would believe that a crime has been committed or is about to be committed. So it's a reasonable suspicion that a crime has been or will be committed is what's required to stop someone, to detain them, say you are not free to go, you must stay here. That's what a traffic stop is. It is a detention under reasonable suspicion. So you must stay here with me, you cannot leave. That's a stop, investigative stop. If you are flying to a 911 call, someone just robbed me, and the 911 caller says he's wearing a black hoodie with purple pants, and he's armed with a handgun and wearing orange shoes. It's a very specific description, and they say he's white. It's a very specific description, and you see that exact person a block away running on foot. That is your reasonable suspicion to detain that person, say, hey, stop. And if they have a gun, that kind of builds a bit of probable cause, if you see what I mean, right? So reasonable suspicion is the lesser, probable cause is the higher. With reasonable suspicion, actually, let's go down a little bit here in the document. So now we're at voluntary encounters, investigative stops, and arrest. So I basically just said what a investigative stop was when you have reasonable suspicion and are investigating something. So to seize someone, the seize, remember that word from the Fourth Amendment, protection against unlawful searches and seizures? When you seize someone, you must have reasonable suspicion. Seizing someone is that a reasonable person would believe they are not permitted to walk away. That means they are not allowed to leave, right? And that is from a Supreme Court case of Florida v. Ryer. They are also seized when they submit to an officer's command to stop. So it was said in Florida, a Supreme Court case, I don't remember which one, that a person who is running from law enforcement officers is not seized until he is stopped by law enforcement or he chooses to stop. I'm not sure where that came from, but basically, a seizure is preventing someone from leaving or they feel they cannot leave. Like I said, 5 officers are around someone, that's a seizure. Let's see. So So an arrest is also a seizure. However, an arrest is a bit different. So I can place someone in cuffs and they're just detained. They're just seized. But if I place them in cuffs and say you are under arrest, that's now an arrest. And the law has said that using that terminology, under arrest, means I am charging you with something. So if someone says, if you're putting them in cuffs and they say, am I under arrest? And you don't know what charge to put them on, say, no, you are not under arrest. You're being detained. People might also say, am I free or am I free to go? Am I being detained or am I free to go? Well, they're not free to go, so they're being detained. And you need to make sure that you have a reasonable suspicion of a crime to detain them. Scrolling down a bit, see. So they're all also consensual encounters or voluntary encounters. So I've highlighted the paragraph here for that. And for you to scroll down, do you all see that paragraph I've highlighted?
Yep.
Okay. So a law enforcement officer has every right to walk up to anyone and say, hey, what's up? How you doing? Can I have your name? That is perfectly okay. That is a voluntary, a consensual encounter. You are not stopping that person. You are not requiring them to be with you. Just don't use your lights. Your police lights are detention. So try to refrain from doing that. But if you just walk up to someone and you say, hey, what's up? Now, and you just talk to them and it's all cool, that's a consensual encounter. You need no reasonable suspicion, no probable cause to do that. And I encourage that. I encourage us to walk up to people and talk to them. In the street, wherever you're at, get out of your car, do something, because that is going to build your rapport, and you might find something out. They might be like, hey, man, yeah, actually, I saw a crime happen the other day. And they might lead to some details, and boom, now you understand some things.
When there's certain things that I 100% agree with, I get a little passionate about it because I'm very passionate about policing in general.
So if, let's say you walk up to someone and you're actually investigating a crime and you're asking them questions. Remember a few moments ago, we're talking about Miranda rights? If you're just asking them about a crime that maybe you suspect they have committed, but you've not put them in custody, things that they say to you are admissible. However, the more intrusive that your actions are upon them, the more of a reasonable suspicion and a right you need to be there. So it becomes a seizure if they feel they're not free to terminate. So let's say if I say I walk up to someone, I'm talking to them, and I kind of feel that they're giving me information that they've committed a crime. Now I've called for backup, and someone's just standing next to them, and we're all standing there. Maybe someone walks up with a taser ready to go. They're kind of being seized at that point. So we got to be careful of how we act with people like that. So a specific seizure is defined. I have highlighted that paragraph as well. It occurs when there's force applied to a suspect, there's a show of authority like commands to stop, blue lights, or a seizure occurs when a reasonable person has the belief that they're not free to go. So like I said, we need reasonable suspicion to seize someone, to stop them, to say they're not free to go. All right, so now there is a Terry stop. So there was a Supreme Court case called Terry v. Ohio, and I'll just go ahead and read this paragraph quickly. In Terry v. Ohio, a plainclothes officer observed defendant Terry and another person walking back and forth in front of a store. Each of the suspects made 5 or 6 trips past the store window and back. The officer had also been a law enforcement officer for over 39 years and has been assigned to patrol the vicinity that he was at for shoplifters and pickpockets. The officer, suspecting that the men were planning to rob the store, approached. The officer asked Terry for his name, but Terry only mumbled an answer. Fearing for his safety, the officer spun Terry around and felt the outside of his coat. The officer found a gun in his coat and removed it. The United States Supreme Court ruled that an officer had a reasonable suspicion, though not probable cause, to believe that Terry was about to commit a crime. Remember, I said about to or has. Given the violent nature of that crime being investigated, an armed robbery, the officer had the right to fear for his safety. So in a situation where you have reasonable suspicion to suspect of a violent crime, you have the right to perform what's called a Terry frisk, or a frisk. We actually have a specific command in game for that. It is /frisk. And the only thing it does, it is this displays their weapons, nothing else. So if you want to, on me or on Sergeant Dredd here, to type /frisk, it'll display only our weapons. You want to go and do that? Try that, Vines?
Yeah.
And you definitely will see a lot of them. If you just approach
He
me and
said
type
Sergeant
/frisk,
Dredd.
fine.
He said Sergeant Dredd.
And what do you see when you type /frisk?
Glock, hatchet, nightstick, flashlight, shotgun, taste.
Yep. So,
All right.
and Recruit Bane, what did you see on Sergeant Mallard there?
I would see a Glock, a taser, a flashlight, a nightstick, an AR, and a bump shotgun.
Right. That is only the weapons. You can go and take a seat. That's only the weapons. That's nothing else. And again, a frisk is done when you have reasonable suspicion that a crime that is violent has been or is about to be committed. That's an armed robbery. That's a murder. That's an assault. That's anything that's going to provide a danger to your safety if you were to talk to them without frisking them. I already defined what
Can
an arrest
anyone ask
is.
me in the
That's
chat why I'm not
seizure
standing on the
their
podium?
liberty, and you
Anyone,
require
can
probable
anyone
cause for
ask
that.
why,
And that is,
or anyone
you
know
are under
why I'm
arrest.
not standing on that floor?
You are
I'm saying
going
down
down
here.
with me to jail. A search is not a frisk. We need to remember the difference between a search and a frisk. A search is the command /search. It is a full examination of their person, and that will display their entire inventory for you. So if you search someone, you require probable cause to search. So in cases where you can search is when you have, let's say that you've arrested someone from their vehicle, you may search a vehicle, quote-unquote search. It is called inventory to arrest. So you may do that on their person and on their vehicle. So if
Hey,
I arrest someone in the car, I'm
I think
allowed
you
to
still
search
have
their car
911
for the
on Tom
purposes
Sam.
of inventory. So that gives me the legal authority to be in their car, rummaging through things. And if I find evidence of another crime, like cocaine or weapons that they can't have, I can charge them with that because I deny the legal authority to be there. There are some exceptions to a warrantless search. That means that, like I just said, I may search someone's car inventory to arrest. And those are all written there, and you can go through that. And I believe that your FTO would definitely dive into that a lot more when you actually are arresting people and understanding that. Like I said, a frisk is outside of their clothing just for weapons. I'm sure you all know a warrant is really a court order. That's why you require probable cause for it, and we talked about that a while ago. So I'm trying to jump along here as quick as possible because we still have a lot more to do. So your communication skills as a Leo, basically, like we talked before about guardian versus warrior mentality, you need to approach people with a civil mind. You need to talk to them like they are a person, like you would want an officer to talk to you. If you go up to someone and say, hey, put your hands up, you're kind of a dick. And they're going to feel that way too. So you need to use your tone, your volume, your words and intention to be able to speak to someone. That's the number one thing of a law enforcement officer is communication to other LEOs and to people. You need to be able to speak to them kindly, professionally, appropriately, and know when to give an order, to say, get the fuck on the ground, and when to say, sir, can you step over here for me? There's a huge difference between those two things. We're going to go right into note-taking and report writing. We've already covered NCIC, so I'll skip over that for now. So when you're writing notes, I highly advise you have a pen and paper next to you whenever you're patrolling and you're writing shit down. Whether it be this or that, just write stuff down, and it'll help you immensely, I promise. When you write a report needs to be factual evidence. It should not be he said, she said. That's hearsay. And it should typically be first person saying, I did this. I, Deputy or Captain Samuel Dunstan, on September the 28th at 5:09 p.m. did this, this, and that. Responded to a call, found this, found that, etc. So we're scrolling right through. Now we're down to use of force. So we'll jump straight through to the picture. Does everyone see the picture for subject action and officer response there?
Yep.
Yep.
So this is basically how you interact with someone. So at the top, you have the actions that a person is performing. At the bottom, you have what you will do to react to that. So if they are an active resisting, they are not doing anything to resist you. That's just your presence. You're just there. No big deal. You're just talking to them. If they are passive resistance, as in they're not compliant with your say, that's a verbal direction. Sir, step over here, right? Or, sir, can you please step over here? We'll get into ask Tomek in a second. At all times, an officer wants to de-escalate. We want to
Like
attempt to go with what's lower in a situation when appropriate. If they have a gun, we shouldn't be like, hey man, can you put the gun away? That's not the right time to de-escalate. If they're, yelling at us, they're upset, maybe their car just got stolen and they're screaming
Bonzer,
at you,
Bonzer, can you please put the gun away, please? Please?
We need to approach that slowly and say, hey man, I understand your car's stolen. I don't think shouting's going to help. I need specific details so I can find that car, right? So you definitely want to bring people down if they're being aggressive with you. So the totality of the circumstances, that is everything that is happening here and now, everything you know for a fact or suspect for a fact. So, and a good example of totality of the circumstances is an individual turns around to you with their arms up in the fashion which you would hold a gun and you see an object there. Would you shoot? It's dark, they turn to you, they're holding their arms out in a fashion which you would think someone would hold a firearm, and both hands out, hands together, and you see something in their hands? Yes, you would shoot. You would utilize deadly force because you are perceiving a deadly force threat. Even if that object in their hand is a phone, putting their arms out like that, you round a corner, you're seeing that, that's a deadly force threat that you need to respond to. So that's the totality of the circumstances, everything that you know at the time. It's not hindsight, it's not 20/20, it's what you know. So the model of policing which we typically deal with, and you have to be very careful of how you apply this, is ask, tell, make. And when you're enforcing this, patience is the utmost important. You need to understand when you're escalating to the tell part and the make part. You need to give people options you need them to exhaust those options before you escalate. So if I want someone out of the car, I say, sir, step out of the car for me, please. That's an order. I apologize. So, sir, can you please step out of the car? That's a question. I'm giving them the opportunity to comply with me, and typically they might just go ahead and do it. They don't do it. It's, sir, step out of the car for me. I was actually referring to a specific incident that happened in California, Sergeant Mallard, where a young teen was, quote-unquote, gunned down by performing that exact action I told you, and the officers were not charged with a DA. But there are objects that look like that, and boom, that's a cell phone gun. I'm sure that shoots, doesn't it?
That is correct. Most of them use .22 caliber.
Goodness gracious. All right, well, continuing on, that thing looks dangerous. So when you're escalate from ask to tell, so can you please step out of the car for me? Sir, I really need you to step out of the car. You need to convince them. And then before you go to make, you say, sir,
the irony of this, this is actually on 3D printers.
You need to make sure that
like
they
there's people that have this on 3D printers.
Is going to end up badly for them. You can say, I don't want to do this. This is the wrong thing. It's going to end up badly for you. You can say a number of things, as long as you're professional and courteous with it. And then it comes to the make. They're not getting out of the car. You get whatever you need there to get them out of the car. Either you rip the door open and you grab them and you pull them out of the car by their arm.
This isn't that long, Bonzer. We've only been doing this for 2 hours.
Right?
Like this is peanuts.
Many other things, right, sir? Can you please step over here for me? Sir, step over here for me. And then you go and get them and bring them over to you.
Fucking, like, if you go back to, like, SOE Academy, the first 8 hours is talking.
Perform those actions. Obviously, it needs to be a lawful order. So,
or GLRP, the first day is
Pennsylvania
talking.
v. Mims is a court case which permits officers to remove everyone from a car. You can ask anyone to step out of the car, and there's a legal precedent which makes it a lawful order. All right, going down to officer safety. First thing we're looking at is scene security. So scene security and officer safety, really, officer safety is the number one priority. Everything that we do is for an officer to be safe. That is the number one priority. So if I say that you should do something this and this way, and you find a way that is, in fact, safer, do it that way. Do it the safe way. Of course, it needs to be appropriate. It can't be something ridiculous, like walking around with an M4 everywhere you go because you feel it's safest. It needs to be, objectively the correct thing to do. So on to scene security. So there are two images here. And the first, there's this 2 blue dots and a red dot. Everyone see that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So that red dot is a subject, a scene, a situation, something. The 2 blue dots are officers which have established a perimeter. What a perimeter is going to do for us, it's going to keep people out, that being either the media, aggressors, family of the subject maybe, that we don't want involved, or civilians that we don't want to get hurt, and keeping people in. We want to make sure that subject that we're talking to is not running away from us. He's staying there. We're keeping him from moving. The second image is a way bigger perimeter. It's an awesome perimeter. If you have many officers to dispose of, many officers to utilize, you can do something like that. You can put officers around in different areas on different street corners to establish a big perimeter. And big perimeters are great because as soon as you make a small perimeter, as soon as you make something that is small, you're going to have a bit of an issue because to expand a perimeter, it's very difficult to do so, especially if a crowd is formed or people are there. All right, going straight into critical incidents. So we're going to talk about the 4 C's: contain, control, communicate, and call. And all those are self-evident. Contain. We are containing the scene. That's building a perimeter. That's organizing deputies on the scene so everyone has a job. So there are several teams that you can make off of that. You can say this is your observation team. An observation team is obviously responsible for watching a building or watching a suspect. You have an arrest team who's prepared to react, prepared to go inside, prepared to do something. Maybe a pursuit team that's ready to chase after someone. A perimeter team that's set up on the perimeter, keeping people at bay. And sometimes you can merge those personnel with one another, like an observer can be a part of the arrest team or a perimeter person can be a part of the pursuit team. So the main thing to remember there is when you come to a scene, make sure that you have a duty, or if you're the first on scene, you assign people to a duty so everyone knows what's going on. On a scene, you need to make sure you have control of that scene. Make sure that you are in control, and that's the perimeter. If you don't have a perimeter and people just walking all across your crime scene or in front of your suspect, obviously we're going to have a bit of an issue there, especially on medical calls. On medical calls, people want to come up and say, hey, what happened? What's going on? And we need to make sure we're controlling those people and saying, hey, this is, a scene, step back, the medic's room, etc. Communicate. Communication, like I said earlier, foundation of law enforcement, super important. We need to communicate with one another. We need to communicate with dispatch, letting them know what we're doing, our plans, one another know what our plans are, and everything. And then call. So if we reach a situation where we have, let's say, a barricaded suspect or a suicidal person, and we're not confident that we can deal with that and that we have resources to dispose, like crisis negotiation or SWAT, we want to make sure that we call those people. Same thing for medical tasks. So if multiple officers are on a medical call, let's apply those 4 C's. Let's go ahead and contain, control, communicate, and we'll want you to call things, maybe an investigator if it's like a murder or something. But we need to make sure we establish those when necessary. Always on scenes, identify who's in charge. Typically, it's going to be the first responding officer unless he's been duly relieved by a supervisor or a superior. Or even a specialty team. If SWAT arrives, SWAT takes command. Here are some bullet point officer tactics. If you don't take anything away, take some of these. There's been a lot of information today. That's why you should bookmark this so we can come back to it. But officer tactics, so some things that we should consider when we're out in the field. Just some simple things, really. Back in when parking, right? So you can pull that car out and use it. An officer should position themselves in a manner where people who are around them don't get behind them or near them. Those are compromising situations when you don't have eyes on someone or they're super close to you. Of course, in some situations that might happen and be out of your control, but you need to be mindful of where people are and how to react to them. Regardless of how you know someone, whether they're your friend, maybe not so much family, but a friend or someone you've interacted with before, be observant of how they're acting, their movement, their wording. They could be on something you're unaware of, and they want to hurt you, and they're just looking for the right moment. And as soon as you drop your guard, as soon as you're chill with them, they think you're not paying attention. Let's take them out. Let's do it right now. When you leave your vehicle around for like a brief moment, you're heading to a shop or something, just leave it on. Make sure it's locked, of course, but you can leave the car on so you can hop in it and go. So most of the rest is going to be practical. So let's go ahead and knock that out. We think we can do that. I'm not sure how long it'll take, but do you guys want to go for it or not tonight?
Yeah, sure.
Vines?
I had my microphone muted. What did you say? Go for what?
Do you want to go for practicals now?
Sure, let's do it.
All right. Where are you?
What?
I do not see you.
Oh, yeah, about that.
Are you outside Mission Row, or?
No, I am far, far away because when sitting in a chair, I fell and ended up in Vinewood.
In Vinewood. Okay, we can pick you up from Vinewood. Let's head outside.
No, now I am
I'll get her taken care of once I get out of the building.
Send for him.
inside the building, but not really inside it.
Wrong one. Wrong door.
Okay, I think I'll just reconnect.
All right.
Negative. I can bring you. No worries at all.
Okay.
I just have to get outside the building first before I try and bring you. I tried to bring you once, and you went back underground.
Yep. There we go. Perfect.
All right. Let's all go get some cars.
Cadet Brian, did you lock that last door?
Yes, I did. Let me check again.
My bad, I meant recruit. Apologies.
Yep, it's locked.
Thank you kindly, sir. All yours, Captain.
All right. So we have some awesome commands that we're going to learn here, which includes /SV. You can go and type just SV right now. And a car may or may not appear to float in front of you. Very faded. This is where you'll spawn the vehicle, so go on and spread out. And you can spawn... the vehicles which I'll permit today are the first two. Either the Ford Police Interceptor sedan. Actually, no. I'm sorry. Let's just only do the sedan. So go ahead and spawn the sedan. And then go and enter the car. Once you are inside the car, type /SV.
They're sexy. They're really sexy.
And there are specific policies for the color, however, they're updating, so I'm not going to worry about that right now, as long as it says utility off-white for the first one, metallic black for the second one, pearl color utility off-white. So we'll just jump down to livery. And Vines, your livery is actually the correct livery already, but it should say a number 3. So go ahead and change the livery to be 3. There you go, so it says training. And then if you scroll down to some extras, you can select whatever you would like here. The policy is specific right now and requires specific items. However, we're likely going to release a new policy where you can use whatever you'd like. So some of these extras are just different things you can see on the car, like the push bar, ALPR, which is license plate readers, side runners on the side of the vehicle for number 7, ALPR on the trunk. Just various different things. And then, Sergeant Mallard, if you wouldn't mind hopping out of your car, what we're going to do is we're going to have them park our cars. So if you wouldn't mind, Recruit's going to hop out of your car, and Recruit Vines, go to Sergeant Mallard's car. Recruit Bain, you can come to my car. And go and steer right at the car. Vines over there. Just stare at the car, and enter the command that Sergeant Mallard put in chat. Park the space LSSD. There you go. Perfect. So that actually returns the vehicle to our inventory. We do have a certain number of vehicles that we have, and if you do not return the vehicles, we will lose them. So if you do crash on the server, your vehicle will no longer exist and no longer be a part of the pool, and that's something you should report in shift notes. Sergeant Mallard, if you wouldn't mind getting utility.
Copy.
Recruits, you can return to your vehicle.
Excuse me.
Actually, I'm sorry, I wasn't thinking this through. What we'll do, Mallard, is we'll both hop in a car and we'll have them run code to the airport. How about that?
Copy.
All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to respond to the airport. The instructors will mark it on your map. We'll actually be on the airfield portion of the airfield. And what we'll do is, before we begin, so vehicle operation. So obviously, as we've said, safety is the #1 priority. And speed needs to be looked at as well. These cars will go pretty damn fast if you let them. The sedans, in my opinion, operate the best. They stick to the ground, their tires are really sticky, and they're really heavy. So they're pretty nice. However, when you reverse, they kind of skyrocket. So don't try reversing right now. So what we'll do is we'll go over the keys real quick for the siren controls. So if you tap E on the keyboard, that'll turn your lights on. That's E as in Edward. So these are your lights, right? And if you press while they're on, so go and turn them back on. If you press G on the keyboard, that'll activate your siren. Y will change the siren. Shift will activate the air horn. And control, if you press it now and then release it, tap control. So control is your manual siren. If you hold it down, it'll give you a siren. And if you release it, it'll cut all sirens off. There is also a way for an alternative siren. I think it's dash or equals up next to your numbers on your keyboard, I believe. That'll activate a secondary siren, but that's not very important at this moment. So what we'll do is you guys will go with lights and sirens to the international airport. And when you approach an intersection, use that air horn and slow down, look left and right, and then go through it, okay? Are we ready? Vines, you ready?
Yeah, I guess.
All right, Bane, you ready?
Yes, sir.
I don't like going first, though. This is making me really uncomfortable.
All right, that's all right. Bane, why don't you take lead?
It's my best siren ever, Scar.
And maybe try heading different routes. So wait, let's stop right here. Bane, go ahead and go. Just go, Bane. And Vines will wait a second here. All right, Vines, go.
Where do you want me to go?
Do you see the marker on the mini map? Yep, just follow that route.
Should I care about the traffic lights now?
No. So you're going code. So you're braking the traffic lights. Obviously, when you approach an intersection, use that shift key to air horn it out. But you're responding to an officer down. An officer's dying. If you don't get there quick, he's gonna bleed out and die. So you gotta get there. This is priority.
It's actually me saying meh.
So
Meh,
as
meh,
you
meh,
respond,
meh, 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 meh,
you
meh,
definitely
meh,
want to go
meh.
as quick as possible while remaining as safe as possible. So in straightaways, when we have an opening, we want to floor it. We want to hit that gas. When we approach an intersection, we slow down, tap that air horn to alert the intersection that we're there, which is shift, I believe. Yeah, shift. But we want to make sure our
Copy,
siren stays on.
left shift.
Yeah, but
Left
what? Wasn't?
So you hit control. That's what turned that siren off.
Oh,
And-
I'm sorry.
It's all right. So you just want to gun it as quick as you can. Also, I hope that your seatbelts are on.
Yeah, they are actually,
perfect.
they are.
So traffic will typically in the opposite
All right,
lane
we'll go
that
in
you
those
are when
gates.
your sirens are on. Usually I try to stick to the left, so they just go right, but sometimes they will cut you off.
So
Yep, there you go. Yeah,
Well,
your
that was
flip's
better than I
going.
thought. We'll
Yep.
try the second set of gates
So
then.
it was straight away here. It's just the highway. Hit
Back
it.
all the way
Gun
out.
it. Go.
I'm scared.
You can do it. You can do it.
And then we're going
Rather
to take
you
an
crash
immediate
here
left.
than on the live server, right?
And then right after this bend, you're going to take an immediate right.
Oh, it's actually taking us the wrong direction. That's okay. We'll just go for a longer ride.
I think I know what the issue is. You're going
Oh,
to have
am I
to
supposed to be
go
on
through it the
your-
hard way.
got
1
this
second.
No, yeah, we are, but we'll figure it out. And take the exit to the right here. Yep, there you go. and then just hop a U-turn right up here.
That didn't work.
Up here?
Yep, just go on U-turn right here.
I'll be
Up
right
here?
back.
Yep, go straight. And to the left. They're over there to the left of the airport. There we go. And now we can turn our sirens off with G. And there we go. And this should open for us. We can head right on in. Sergeant Mallard, if you want to spawn a utility and take us over to that hangar you're talking about.
Copy. The gate's not going to open on its own, so I'm going to have to help through.
Oh, I actually see the gates open. Oh, that's what you mean. Okay.
Sorry, I'm very not familiar with the whole admin system, so I'm going to try and bring him to me. This might be interesting. Let's bring in the car. That's wrong one, anyways. Media Mario, teleport user to you. Well, shit.
I'll get the vehicles.
Yeah, if you can get the vehicles all over, that'd be great.
Come over here to me, Bane. / give key.
He just ran through the gate. The gate's open in their eyes.
You might be driving it. Nope. Okay, awesome.
It wouldn't. No clip wouldn't turn on, Bonzer, when I was in the vehicle as a passenger.
Go ahead and hop out.
Just do the same for Vines as well.
Yeah. Go and just hop out, Vines.
All right, lead the way towards the marker.
All right, Mallard, if you want to take over this portion, I would greatly appreciate that.
Copy. All units follow the lead, Taurus. Oh, stop. Gotta wait for them to get in. All units follow the lead, Taurus. Just go to the map marker that I marked. It's gonna be that first big hangar.
Okay, just over the runway and all that?
Yep. You're still code 3, sir. Oh, I guess that one's not open. Go to number 2. Maybe the next one to our... There we go. Perfect. Just right here. We'll pull on in here. Park her up. Alrighty, perfect. Alright, all yours, Captain.
No, sir. I would greatly appreciate if you could lead the practicals.
Copy. Where would you like me to start off with?
Well, we got the vehicles, so let's start with that.
Perfectamundo. Alright, can everyone hear me clearly?
Yes, sir.
Recruit Vines, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Alrighty, so vehicle operations and all that other good jazz. So the first thing we want to do is get you inside the vehicles. If anyone will be able to get back in the driver's seat. First thing I'm going to want you to do is slash radar. When you first get the slash radar, you'll see a little window pop up. Validate that you see the window.
Yes.
At the very top of that window, it's going to be toggle radar. You want to click on that.
Yeah.
You'll see that radar in the lower right-hand corner of your visual apparatus.
Yeah.
Yes.
Then you go down that, and then there's going to be things that are like XMIT, OP, and SAM. XMIT stands for transmit. SAM stands for the same lane that you're operating in. Opposite stands for the opposite lane to your right, or correction, to your left.
Mm-hmm.
So typically what I do for my operations is I keep the front radar in the SAM, and I keep the rear radar in the opposite. Be sure to do that as now, and then once you're done at that port, at the very bottom, there's a set limit, set that to 50.
Yeah.
All right, Captain, if you'd be so kind, set yourself to be able to do a flyby at 60. We're going to be doing it out on the runway, so we're going to move these vehicles all the way up to here. It's going to be a white and black checkered line. All right, get your noses all the way up to that line. Thank you kindly. Now, what we're going to observe is we're going to observe the speed. The captain's going to drive by at approximately 60 miles an hour. Once you got it, stand by. Once the captain's done, then we'll actually go through and check whatever speeds you got. Fruits, are you ready?
Yes.
Yeah.
Captain, set.
Set.
Send it. All right, Recruit Brain, what'd you get?
60 miles per hour.
Cadet Vines?
I didn't see anything. I think I've been doing something wrong.
Not a problem. You can do slash radar again. Double check the settings.
Okay, so what was the settings again?
So the front radar you're going to want to set to SAM and make sure the transmit is on, so you'll actually see like 00 in the box for FWD.
What? I am so confused right now.
Not a problem, ma'am. Do you have a red and black box in the bottom center?
Yeah, I do have the box there.
Okay, so you got that little toggle window right in the center of your screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so the first thing you're gonna want to do is if you click on transmit or XMIT, you'll notice that the SAM and XMIT on the forward portion, which is the top left, will go all black. All the lettering text will go black.
On the front one? What?
On the FWD one, yes.
Yeah, it's off.
Okay, if you hit the XMIT on the top one more time, do you see the SAM and XMIT light up white? Or the
Yeah, it's 000.
Perfect. Okay. So what we're going to want to do is then validate the BWD one or the rear antenna and validate that one is OPP and XMIT.
OPP and XMIT.
And just make sure that the OPP and the XMIT text are illuminated as white.
Okay, yeah, I see everything 000 now.
Perfect. Now the last but not least is the toggle speed, or correction, set fast limit. You're going to click on that and it's going to give you a box to enter. Enter 50.
Yeah.
And then when that's done, you hit close and then everything should be good to go. And then we'll give it to the captain to do another flyby at 60. Send it, Captain.
Copy.
All right, what do you got, Vines?
I really don't understand. I'm sorry.
Not a problem. In the FWD fast, do you see anything in that box?
Yeah, it says 49.
Okay, and it's black in color? The text, the 49 is black in color, or is it white in color?
It's white.
Is that in the FWD or the FWD fast box, which is a little smaller?
The FWD one.
Okay, so what you clocked to it was 49. Because it did not exceed 50, you did not get a forward fast ping. So we're going to have the captain go by again, see if we can try and get a little more speed on there. It could be because of when you have an issue with your head's farther from the city than someone else, it can differ from what the speed calculations are.
Oh, okay.
Captain, could you try and do 70 this time, see if we get a little difference?
10-4.
Send it when ready, sir.
Send it.
Yeah, I got a 85 now.
Perfect. And do you hear that ping sound when it hit?
Yeah, the beeping sound. Yeah.
Yes. So if someone were to come up from behind you, or if they were to come the opposite lane of you right now, then your rear radar would pick that up. So what we're going to do is have you both turn the vehicles around. And then you're going to want to hit M as in Mike, which resets the high limits.
Yeah.
Okay, so you should only see the white zeros, correct?
Yeah.
Same traffic, Brian?
Yeah, yep.
Captain, send it at 90.
10-4.
Mine did not pick up. I also see a white up arrow on the backwards one.
Copy. Vines?
I got 92.
Perfect. Now, again, this is where that whole our distance from our heads can come into play. So you're not always going to catch it when it's like this. The reason why I'm doing it this way is because you have a very small cone of action for your radar. If the vehicle was coming side by side with you, so what we're going to have you do, Vines, is we're going to have you back up and then face towards the captain.
Back up.
Yep. You're kind of like doing like a right angle turn. You're going to go back, and then you're going to turn your wheels to the right. And they were facing the captain.
What?
Yep, just like that. See the captain way down there?
No.
Okay.
Oh, there is. Yeah.
Yeah, he's dead ahead in that Explorer way the heck down there. Captain, if you do a flyby at 90 and Vines, hit M to reset.
Yeah.
You get a ping, Vines?
Nope, I didn't.
Okay, so he might have to get a little closer with that one. Go again, Captain.
Yeah, I got 90 now.
Alrighty, we'll have you go back to your position there, Vines, and Bayan, set up for the same position. Alright, Bayan, make sure you reset your radar. Let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready.
Captain, send it.
Picked up a speed of 97 miles per hour.
Alright, that is the basic operations of your radar. Now just be advised, you hit M, what does that do? That resets your radar. You then lose all evidence that someone was caught speeding.
Yeah.
The other thing to note is when you hit M in a vehicle, it'll tell you the plate in front of you. Captain, if you want to pull up in front of both vehicles once they reset to their original positions. Perfect. All right, Captain, perfect right there. And then have both recruits at this time hit M, and you'll see in the upper left-hand corner of your eye the plate.
Yep.
Yep.
Now that is great information, just unfortunate, like I said, it completely wipes what you had on your lovely, vehicle.
Sure.
Do both of you know how turn signals work, the hazard lights work?
Nope.
Turn signals are the left arrow key and right arrow key. If we can have both vehicles turn off their emergency lights. Perfect. Now, if you look at the rear of your vehicle, you'll see that your turn signal is on if you hit the left or right arrow keys. And now if you hit the down arrow key, that toggles your hazards. Now, in a little bit of etiquette, if you see someone not using their turn signal and you decide to pull them over for not using their turn signal, you better be using your turn signal prior to that incident. If you are not using it, you cannot charge someone about it, because that goes back to what the captain was saying, that we have to uphold the law on ourselves. Yes, Cassie. Alright, now we have the high beam operations. We're going to hit the H button. Make sure your high beams come on. If you look around your vehicle, you'll notice lights will also turn on the front of your bars. The light bar on the top of the car.
Yeah.
Always use that on a traffic stop. You need as much illumination as possible, and not to mention that blinds the individuals within the vehicle so they can't see where you're coming from.
Okay.
Next operation is going to be called, they're called takedowns in this city, but the actual terminology is alley lights. The purpose for alley lights is to look in an alley. So for this operation, we're going to have you both pull into the hangar. Alrighty, perfect. And then look in the upper left-hand corner of your eye for the command. Perfectamundo. You see how bright that thing is?
Yeah.
So, I mean, at nighttime, that is a God-saving grace right there, okay? And then do the same thing, just type right instead of left. Now, unfortunately, you cannot have them both on at the same time. To turn them off, you just do that same command with nothing after it. If you both notice what I just put there in the upper left-hand corner of your eye, do that real quick. And then once you're done with that, hit Frank 2 on your controls.
What did it say?
F2, also known as Frank 2. Vines, were you able to see the little bit that I put in there, /rebind to take down left in the upper left-hand corner of your eye?
Yeah.
And did you type that in?
I did.
And then you hit F2 on your keyboard?
No.
Would you be able to hit there? Perfect. So what Rebind does, if you are not familiar with it, it allows you to use any command within this fair city in a quick hotkey fashion. It works for Frank 1, Frank 2, Frank 3, Frank 4, Frank 5, and Frank 5, 6, and 7. Frank 4 does not work. So typically I'll have Frank 2 be my left alley light, Frank 3 be my right alley light, and then I'll have something else to turn them both off. Alright, if we can do the /takedown to turn them all off. Perfect. Any other questions in terms of the emergency light operation of the vehicles?
No.
Nope.
All right, I want both vehicles emergency lights on. Both vehicles enable siren. Both vehicles hit Y to toggle your siren. One more time. And then hit G again to turn them off. What is the purpose for the 3 tiers of the siren?
I don't know.
Okay. So you notice the higher you go up, the faster they are, the more abrasive they are to your ears?
Yeah.
So the first tier is simple code 3 response. The second tier is going to be what you would use to clear an intersection. And the third tier is going to be what you're utilizing when you're like 1013, anything seriously bad. Someone got in a motor vehicle accident, you want everyone out of your way immediately.
Yeah.
So you go to the highest tier you can immediately. In any pursuit, you want to be cycling your tiers in correspondence with what your actions may be. This is extremely challenging, so I make sure to try and remap keys as needed. Alright, you can feel free to turn off your emergency lights at this time. Both recruits exit the vehicles, turn off the engine. All right, both recruits, I'm going to ask you to go to the front of your vehicle and then pop your hood. This is crucial because there are so many times when citizens of our fair city will smack into your vehicle and muck up your car. A damaged vehicle is not an operable vehicle, so you have to go to your nearest repair station or your nearest department to get your car fixed. If you want to fix your car, you do /fix. This takes time. You should see a progress bar in the lower left-hand corner of your eye. Once that progress bar is complete, your vehicle will be 100% clean and 100% fixed. If you're in a hurry, then obviously you go to a custom shop and get your vehicle repaired there as and such. This is going to be something you use a lot because locals do not like our vehicles. All right, once completed, the hood should close, but as of late, the /fix does not work all the time. So that's where you would then go back to going over to a repair station or repair shop to get your vehicle repaired. All right, we'll have you both enter the vehicle, and once you have entered the vehicle, you will type /access. If you notice by us doing /access, you can see the inventory of your vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
So typically what you would do is you would stow, as in store, your shotgun and your AR in your vehicle when you're on patrol duty, so you don't look like a meanie coming out with your assault weapons to every scene. But unfortunately, if you lose your head within this fair city, the car and those weapons go into the black hole abyss, and like the captain said earlier, you would annotate that you lost those items on your shift notes.
Yeah.
Now that being said, you can do /lockbox, which will actually lock your box.
Do you also store your shotgun shells and your assault rifle ammo in the vehicle, or do you keep them on you?
Typically, when you are on a duty load, you would keep that weapon loaded. So you would load all your ammo just like you loaded your pistol, and then those weapons would then be stowed between the front 2 seats.
We actually did not load any firearms, did we?
No, we did not as of yet.
We did not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We'll cover that when we reach firearms.
Amen. So
Okay, so what did it say after the our inventory?
So after you've accessed the inventory, you can go ahead and close that and then do /lockbox and then try and do /access again afterwards. You should get a notification saying it's locked.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now here's a caveat. If an individual really wants to get into your car and get into that lockbox, they have 2 minutes. Because some of these criminals know what the hell they're doing, and it literally takes them 2 minutes to get into that lockbox and get into your vehicle and take everything they need.
Yeah.
So your vehicle should always be in eyesight, correct?
Of course.
So even no matter what the scene dictates, you must always have some LEO with the vehicles. If you're on a foot pursuit, someone needs to stand by with those vehicles. It goes back to the 4 C's.
Do we remember the 4 C's? I'll give you one of them. Communicate. Recruit minds. Do you know one of the other 4 C's when it comes to scene security?
I don't know, when you ask questions like this, nothing goes through my head, you know?
You can go through the reading material.
So, we're looking for the 4 C's. So one of them is to communicate. So these are 4 steps that you want to take when you arrive at a scene. The first one is to secure it in some manner, and this is a word that's like secure, but it starts with a C. Go for it.
Control?
Control is another word, one of the 4 C's, that is correct. The other word I was looking for is contain, right?
Oh, yeah.
So when we arrive, we contain the scene, control, communicate, and call. So which of the C's do you think would be keeping your vehicle observed? Which of the 4 C's do you think would that be? Keep eyes on the cars that are about.
Well, I like how you piggybacked on that.
Or Bane?
I guess that would be contained, right?
Yep, that would technically be contained. So we're keeping our scene to ourselves. We're containing it. In that contained paragraph, it says that we can develop teams. One of the teams being the observation team and the perimeter team. So those 2 teams typically would be outside, right? While the arrest team might go in to perform whatever actions required. So the observation team and the perimeter team would definitely keep eyes on our vehicles.
I'm waiting for him to give it back to me because he has the mic as far as.
Mallard, do you have anything else, or do we want to jump to the next thing, which I think might be pursuits, perhaps?
I was going to cover the last little bit. I was just waiting for you to hand over the mic, per se, Captain.
Yeah, go for it.
Thank you, sir. All right, recruits. So something else to think about within this is like that lockbox is a great thing, obviously. Putting your weapons in there is a great thing, obviously. But again, anytime you lose your vehicle, anytime you lose a weapon, anytime you lose any duty equipment, needs to be reported on your shift notes. I know that sounds like I'm really drilling that home, but that's because it happens all the time. And like I said, if you don't have equipment, you can't go on duty. If you can't go on duty, we are an LEO down. Can a vehicle pit another vehicle if it does not have a wraparound push bumper?
I think so, yeah.
Negative. If Vines attempts to pit another vehicle with this vehicle, she's going to damage the entire front clip of her vehicle. If you decide to try and pit another vehicle, you're going to take out your headlight. Do you think it's legal to drive without a headlight?
No, it's not, sir.
Goes right back to what the captain was preaching about, the whole lawlessness. All right, what I want you both to do is we're going to do some basic operation of your vehicle. Speed limit is going to be 50. I'm going to have you go around the airfield twice and then come back to this position. This is just to get you familiar with the vehicle, try and do some driving, do some backing up, some moving forward, all that kind of good stuff, okay? Before we get into the actual emergency vehicle operations, I want you to have a little bit of familiarity with the vehicle.
Okay. So the instructors will take the cadets individually, and we're, like you said, we're just going to go around with lights and everything, driving around as if we went in the city. So each instructor will talk to our recruit directly.
Copy. All right, recruit, your maximum is going to be 5-0. I want you to maintain as close as you can to that 5-0. The purpose behind this is to make you understand that, well, even though we don't have cruise control, you still have to maintain a speed limit. If you're breaking the speed limit, you cannot give tickets out to people that are breaking the speed limit.
Understood, sir.
You ever heard the terminology lead by example?
I think, yeah, I did.
Yeah.
So what that basically means to lead by example is to be the example of whatever you may be doing. You do not want to sit there and tell someone to do something that you cannot do within yourself. Now you notice there's a lot of gear changes because you're trying to maintain a speed?
Yep.
Yes, it is, Meaty Mario. So with that being said, you can say that's kind of challenging at times, like especially when you're trying to hold 35. So like for instance, drop it down to 35 and now try and maintain that for a bit. In what area is this the speed limit?
That would be the speed limit within city limits.
So if you're breaking this, can you ticket people for it?
No, I cannot, sir.
Perfect. What did I say earlier about turn signals?
If you don't use your turn signals yourself, you can't ticket people for not using their turn signals.
Perfect. All right, we'll whip it around here and we'll go back towards the way we came. All right, immediate stop. You notice what happened where it backed up on you like that?
Yep.
That's something you got to be very objective with, because if you're in a pursuit and you're getting close to something and you try and back it up like that, you back up a little bit like that, you're going to get another cruiser right up your butt.
Oh, yep.